Hello and welcome to this video in which I'm going to be introducing the Dash Healthcare app. This is a cutting-edge piece of data visualization software made by Information. It allows users to explore international healthcare statistics in a way that's easy to use, easy to understand, and beautiful to look at. So I've just started the app, and the first thing I see is this set of instructions. So I can press enter to start. And it's also possible to use a gamepad with this application, so a PlayStation or Xbox type controller. I'm just going to be using a keyboard and mouse, but you can use a gamepad as well. So just pressing enter, and that's going to take me down to the start. So the first thing we see is this notification that the app has sound. So just a reminder to turn your speakers up or unmute them if they're switched off, because there's audio, such as video introductions and also sound effects. In this video that you're watching now, the audio is turned off for the application itself, just so that you can hear me introduce everything. So the first thing we see is our little character in the middle of the screen there, and we can move the character from left to right just using the arrow keys on the keyboard. So pressing the right arrow and the left arrow just to move from left to right. And the overall layout of this 3D data dashboard is, it's in a two-dimensional plane going from left to right. At the moment, we're at the far left-hand side, and as we go through it, we'll be moving towards the right, and you'll see the different interfaces that you can interact with, and these will allow you to select the data visualizations and charts that you want to view. And then the charts themselves are over towards the right-hand side. So to start off with, I'm just going to move to the right a little bit, and you'll notice that at the top of the screen, this display pops up allowing me to play or pause or rewind. And that's because this screen here is a video screen. So I'm just going to press P, and that's going to start the video playing. There is sound with this video, but as I said, it's not going to be heard as part of this video you're watching now. But if you're using the application for the first time, you can stick around here, listen to the intro, and that will introduce all of the controls. But right now I'm going to do that myself. So we can also press the space key, and that's going to let us jump. And you can also press this twice to double jump. And I'm just going to move on past this video and introduce things myself. So I'm just going to keep going to the right. And the first thing we reach here is the first selection box. Now, to choose which chart or data visualization you want to look at, you're going to use these selection boxes to change, first of all, the topic of the data, and then you're also going to be able to change the factors on the vertical axis, the horizontal axis, and also to change some of the other options as well. So this first selection box is where I can change the topic that I'm investigating. So I'm just going to jump to hit the block, and that changes to number 2. So now we're looking at the topic of life expectancy. Again, number 3, causes of death. Number 4, immunization. Number 5, health screening. 6, hospital care. Diet and consumption. Healthcare insurance. Healthcare funding. Hospital resources. And finally, employment and training. And then if I just hit it again, I'm going to go back to number 1, which is population. Okay, so that's the first selection box. Keep heading to the right, we've got the second selection box here. And this one allows me to change the vertical axis. I'm just going to leave that alone for now because I want to show a little bit more about the layout of the overall dashboard. So I'm just going to keep going to the right. So that's the second selection box, changing the vertical axis. The third selection box changes the horizontal axis. And then the fourth box will change different options depending on what kind of chart you're looking at. And then this one here also allows you to change the color or the style of the chart data visualization. And there's a few different color schemes to choose from. Just going to keep heading to the right. And here you can see the chart area. So this is where your chart, line chart, bar chart, data visualization will appear. So at the moment, my camera, my view, is following the character as I move around. And just by pressing the Shift key, I can zoom that out so I can get a better view. But it's still following my character. If I press Shift one more time, it zooms out further to show the chart full screen. I can still move around in that view, but the camera's not going to follow my character around. The chart you can see here is just the default. It's the first one that loads, and it's simply the total population worldwide from 1980 to 2020. Very simple chart, not particularly interesting, just a simple kind of upward trend for the global population, nearly reaching 8 billion. I'm just going to press Shift again, and that's going to zoom me back in on my character. So just to recap, there's 3 different zooms, one following the character closely, one zooming out slightly, and one focusing on the chart. And then back in again. And here to the right of the chart, I've got the legend area. So there would be more of a legend here if the chart was more complicated. So if you had a line chart with 10 different lines, you'd be able to see what they correspond to just here. And if I keep going to the right, I will find this screen here, which just displays notes on the chart and also details about the data source. So if I head to the right a little bit further, that is the end of the data dashboard. There's a little bit of information there on the right hand side. I can't walk through the doorway, but that information on the right just gives details about the company that have made this, so that's information. You can find out more on the website information.com, that's with a 1 and a 0. And you can also press the B key on your keyboard at any time. That will open up your browser and take you to the website. And on the website you can find more details about the features and the different charts that are included in this application. So I'm just going to head back over to the left. We've now seen the whole of the data dashboard from left to right. And I'm going to head back to the selection boxes and I'm going to explore some data visualizations. So just using the arrow keys on my keyboard and the space bar to jump. And you can see that each of the selection boxes is color coded, so it's easy to see the difference between them. And the orange box, the first one, is going to allow me to change the topic. So the first chart I'm going to have a look at is actually population. So I'm going to leave that as it is. The second one, by default, is the total population in millions. So that's the one we just saw over to the right. I'm going to hit that one and change it to population age 16 to 65. So that's the percentage of the population in that age group. And I'm going to hit it one more time so I can look at the population aged over 65. And then this third selection box, I'm going to leave it as it is. And the fourth one the same. So heading back over to the chart, we can see that it's changed. And we now have this 3D line chart with 10 lines. I'm just going to press the Shift key to zoom out. That's going to show me the whole of the chart. And you can see that these 10 lines have a gradual upward trend, especially the red one. So while I'm looking at the chart view here, zoomed out and getting the whole chart full screen, I can also press the Alt key, and that's going to move me over to the legend. So that allows me to see what each of those lines corresponds to. So we can see that that red line, the one with the highest rate towards the end, represents Japan. So we can see that the population who are over 65 in Japan is increasing more rapidly than any other country in the database. So all of the data included here is from the OECD. So the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And it doesn't include all of the countries on the planet, but it has a very high quality and good reputation for the standards of its data collection and for consistency. And it also offers a lot of data on a lot of different topics as well. So you can see there you've got 8 different countries on the chart, plus the average for the OECD countries and also the average for the world. Just by pressing Alt one more time, I can also change the camera view to my sources. So there you can see where the data's come from. You can go to the website and you can see the data for yourself, the raw data. Pressing Alt one more time takes me back to the chart. Okay, just pressing Shift once more, I've now zoomed in on my character. And rather than going back to the selection boxes on the left, that would be one way of changing the chart. This time I'm actually going to press the Enter key, and that's going to bring up a display at the top of the screen. So the chart we're looking at, if you remember, it was 1, 3, 1, 1 on the 4 selection boxes. This time I want to look at 1, 3, 2, 1. And when I press enter, it's going to update the chart. And now, if we zoom out with the shift key, and one more time, we see the whole chart. And the difference here is that we're now looking at the same type of data, but we're looking from 2010 to 2050. So you can see how these populations aged over 65 are rapidly increasing, especially the red line there, which we saw represents Japan, but also this blue one right at the front, which represents the world population. The proportion of the population who are aged over 65 is generally going up. So just a few moments to take that in. I'm just going to zoom in on my character again. And I'm going to show you some of the other features for interacting with the line charts in particular. So over on the right hand side, I can hit the jump key and I can press the up arrow on my keyboard to now stand on this ledge here. And pressing the up key moves me up each of the lines on the legend. And pressing the down key drops me down. So by doing this, I can now jump across and walk on that particular line. So you can see at the top it tells me that the current lane or chart line is the line for Japan. So I can run across here from right to left or from left to right, and I can get a really good feel for the trends in the data. If I want to change lanes, I can move to the side of the chart. And maybe this time I'll look at the data for, well, let's look at the data for the world. So let's just jump up on here. And you can see that the trend here is still an upward trend, but not climbing at such a high rate as the other ones behind it. So because these lines are all in 3D and they're kind of moving towards the background, it can sometimes become a little unclear where the lines are crossing. So it's possible to also flatten that line chart by just pressing the I key. So you'll notice that brings all of the lines right to the front, so you can see exactly where they are in relation to each other. So I can flatten and unflatten that line chart. So that gives me a few options for interacting with the chart, learning about the data, and just playing around with it and getting to know it a bit better. So that's an example of a line chart. I'm now going to show you some of the other kinds of charts that are available here. I'm just going to head over to the left, and this time I'm going to go to the selection boxes and kind of do it manually rather than just typing it in. So those 4 numbers are the same 4 numbers that you would type in if you were to press the enter key. Okay, so you get those 4 digits at the top where you can use your keyboard to enter the numbers, or I can just press escape to cancel that. So I'm back at the first selection box here, the orange box, and this is where I want to change the chart topic. The bar chart I'd like to take a look at, I know that that is topic number 7, which is going to be diet and consumption. Okay, so there we've got diet and consumption, comes up on the screen. And this screen here also plays a video. So if I press the P key while I'm standing in front of it, that's going to start to play. And this is a very simple video that just introduces the kind of factors that are included in this topic. And these are the kind of things that you'll be able to explore in the chart area. Okay, so we're going to be able to look at consumption for alcohol, smoking, calories, fat, sugar, protein, etc. And these are all the available topics that I might want to explore. Right. So the second selection box, set to number 1. The first chart is alcohol consumption, litres per capita per year. So I'm just going to leave this one as it is. And the third selection box shows me that on the horizontal axis, I'm going to be looking at the top 20 countries. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. And there aren't any further options for this chart. So I'm just going to keep going to the right and take a look at it. So now we can see that the chart area has changed and we've got a bar chart. I'm just going to hit the shift key. That's going to zoom me out to look at the chart a bit better. And you can see that this chart is representing the quantity of alcohol consumed per person per year in litres. You'll also notice that there are some gaps in the data, so a few bars are missing. And now that's because this particular data set comes from 2016, which is the most recent data set. So whenever you load a new data visualization, whatever kind of chart it is, it will by default show you the most recent data. But then what you can also do is you can press the Tab key on your keyboard to cycle through the different years. So just pressing Tab, I've gone back to 2007. So this is the earliest data set we have for alcohol consumption. And you can see now that we've got data for every single country there. So back in 2007, we can see that Russia's got the highest alcohol consumption. I'm just going to press the Tab key again, 2008, and again, 2009, 2010, 2011. And you can see that the Russia bar is dropping down and the Lithuania bar has actually gone up a little bit. So you can try and see by looking at the height of the bars and how they correspond to the vertical axis. You can try and guess what those values are by looking at it, but you can also press the I key just to bring up the actual values on the bars themselves. And you can make a good comparison there. So you can see now that Lithuania is higher than Russia. And the general trend is that most countries are gradually reducing their alcohol consumption. Up to 2012 now. 2013. 2014. And 2015. So you can see that this is the most recent year where we've got a full data set. And that's kind of the index year. So you can see that all the bars are in order with the highest on the left and the lowest on the right. And then if we press Tab one more time, we see 2016, our most recent data, but we haven't got a complete data set. I'm just going to press Shift, and that's going to zoom me in on my character. Going to head over here. And with a bar chart, I can also change lanes. I could jump up on here, or just jump straight across. And I can now interact with the chart itself. And as I touch each of the bars, it shows the value. So while I'm running around on there, I can also press Tab to animate the bar chart. So we could stand on top of Russia and just see how that changes over time. Or I can just press the I key to see all the numbers at once. Okay. Just pressing Shift to go back to my little character. And you can move back to this lane here. And I'm going to head over to the left just to show you a few more little features that we have. So this selection box here allows me to change the style of the bar chart. I'm just going to jump and hit that. And you can see that the little mini chart there has changed its colors. If I head back over here, so has the bar chart. Just going to zoom out a bit so you can see that better. And back here one more time. See the next one. And see we've got another color scheme here. Now it is also possible to change that without heading back to that selection box every time, just by pressing the caps lock key. I can cycle through all the different color schemes. So we've got this shiny metallic one, and I think another one. And this one is a pulsating glow, kind of a disco-like style kind of thing. And the next one is the futuristic Tron glowing edges. That's pretty cool. And pressing caps lock again, another colorful one, followed by grayscale. And then the next one is the default. So that's just a really clear and nice looking color palette. Okay, so that's a bar chart. There are a couple of other little features. I'm just going to zoom back in on my character. You can also change the color of your character avatar just by pressing the C key on your keyboard. And there is also a music soundtrack, so you can't hear that while you're listening to this video, but there is the option of having music playing while you explore the data. So I can do that by pressing the M key for music. So there we can see no music but with effects. Pressing it again, we've got music chilled, music upbeat, and then we've got no music or sound effects. So if you're giving a presentation or some kind of lecture, or if you're teaching, you can turn off and on the sound while you're interacting with it. There's no need to play around with your speakers or things like that. And just heading to the far left of the screen, just because I haven't been here yet, you can see that it's just popping up with another little bit of information. And it's telling me that at any time I can press the control key on my keyboard and it will bring up a full list of all the controls. So I'm just going to do that now. And you can see there it's just giving a recap of all the different controls for moving around, plus a recap of how the 4 selection boxes work and how to enter the ID for a chart using the numbers in your keyboard. And then in the bottom right, it's also just telling me that I can press I to show the chart values. I can press Tab to cycle through the different time points on a bar chart. And I can also use the up and down arrow keys to change lanes. So I can jump on the bars and I can run along the lines, etc. Just pressing Control to go to the next screen. We've got a little reminder about using the Shift key to change the camera view. And the Alt key will also allow you to see the legend and the sources while you're looking at the chart itself. You've then got P and R, which allow you to interact with the videos, to play, pause and rewind them, but you need to be standing close to one of the video screens in order to do that. The Caps key changes the style of your chart, the M key changes the music or switches off and on the sound effects, and the C key changes your character style. And then on the right hand side there you've just got a very lengthy full list of instructions, which also includes the gamepad equivalents for everything as well. So just pressing Control one more time, got a little bit of information there about the application itself and where you can find out more about it. And if you'd like to find out more, you can go to the information.com website. So that's information with a 1 and a 0. The application is available for PC and Mac, and we are making it available as a free download. So if you go to the website, you can leave us your details and we will send you the download link for this for free, and you can get your hands on it yourself, which we highly recommend. Thank you for watching, and look in the description for further details and how to get in touch if you'd like to find out more. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.